Hey YouTube, what's going on? We're out here at the jumps for another episode of the Building My Dream Jump series, and it is just an absolutely banger day. Like, spring is definitely here. The sun's just pumping, super warm out, and look how dry it is here. Like, that berm is so dry, you'd probably need to water it before you could ride it. Like, if I had my hardtail and things were completely fixed, we'd be able to ride right now. And so in the last episode of the series, we fixed up that second landing. The one before that, we fixed up the first landing, so we're working our way down. And so right now the time is 8:38. So I'm out here reasonably early digging. We're actually gonna try and do like a day of digging as if it was like a full-on sort of like 9 to 5 job to see how much we can get done. So the plan for today's video, want to slap the berm back up and fix it up. And it's actually held up really good over winter, but definitely needs a bit of a tidy up. And then the hip long and low over the fence, want to fix that up as well, so get the lip all smoothed out, get the landing fixed up, fix up those ruts. Then if we have time, we might start working on the pump bumps a little bit and fix up the step up. And so the plan for the step up, let's get over to it, is this thing's a bit rough because the sheep did get on it. Like, it's super rough actually. Looking at that, like, that is a bit sad and depressing actually. But what I'd like to do to it, rather than have it as a step up as it is now, is scrape a bunch of the dirt out and sort of scrape it back so it becomes so the lip's like the same height as the landing. So rather than having the lip there, have it like up to here, scraped out, and have it nice and steep, sort of have it like a spokes and a spine, just as a temporary thing. So eventually I want to stack this landing up big with the digger, as big as like that landing is now. I must have another wooden kicker here. Then I'm thinking I might have a long and low or something into it to have 3 big jumps in a row. But for now, in the meantime, we can't get a digger at the moment, probably a spokes is what I'm thinking. Don't know if we'll get to that today, but at the very least, we're going to do the berm, do the long and low over the fence, and probably fix up the flat bottoms between the berm and this jump and that jump and the long and low, etc. Oh, and as well, so a few months back, I put a poll on my Instagram story and on YouTube asking for like name ideas for these jumps. I just want to thank everyone that did submit a name idea. It was ages ago, I know, but I've come up with a name. I cannot remember who put it actually, so my apologies, but we're going to call this place the Pasture. And so the reason why I want to call it the Pasture is because, you know, like, it's a field. Pasture's not the name for the field. They always talk about going to greener pastures, and what a green pasture is this. Like, literally green, and can't think of a better life than like working on jumps and riding jumps in your pasture. So the Pasture's the name. Let me know if you guys like it. Not going to change it if you don't, unfortunately, but I do really think the Pasture's a cool name. And so in the Pasture, what we're going to do today is, again, to working on this berm. So what I first need to do is sweep it all off. Then we'll water it and slowly get clay from over there to over here, slap it back up, get it nice and smooth. And yeah, it's going to time us this berm. It's going to be sick. Sweet team, we're about an hour in and the berm's progressing really, really well. This first section's all buttered, and I'd say we're about a third of the way through the berm. It's looking really good. Cannot wait for it to look like this all the way along again, and I think already that looks better than it did the first time I did it. And so what I'm doing now is having a quick break, having a muesli bar, having some water. Just got to keep the energy levels up to stay hydrated and stay like full of energy when you're digging, but stoked with how the day is going so far. So in a moment we'll get back to the time lapse. We'll change the angle up as well. Sweet guys, the time is now 1:07, so it's been like 4 hours since the last check-in, but I did stop for some food, had a couple interruptions, like took a phone call, caught up with a family member. But in any case, check this bad boy out. This berm is looking wicked. Like, it's gonna be so good to right-hand turn this again. It's so smooth, no marks, smooth flat bottom. Give you a look along here. This thing is looking insane. Like, I am so stoked on this, and I really do think it looks a lot better than the first time I did it last summer. Like, last summer it looked good, but this time it's just, oh, like, check that thing out. It's got a nice edge to it, super smooth, cleaned up in the flat bottom as well. So a couple more weeks of spring and this thing should be rock hard. Like, it'll rain, it'll get sun, it'll rain, it'll get hard. And like, already there's a couple weak cracks showing up, which isn't a big deal because it'll rain, those will fill in and the sun will like bake it. But yeah, this thing looks flipping awesome. So what I'll try and do is I'll put a wee before and after into it now. And well stoked with this berm. Can't wait to ride in a few weeks. Sorry that before and after is a wee bit short. I remember with the long and low of the fence that we do next, that I'll get some proper before and afters of that. What I need to do before I get onto the fence though, is this flat bottom in between the berm and this kicker is a bit messy right now. There's a few bits of like dead grass and it's just a bit bumpy and like lots of dirt's washed out and stuff. So we're not gonna butter this up or anything, but what I'm thinking I'm gonna do is get the rake, just sort of give it like a nice rake up, smooth it all out a wee bit, get it nice and ready so when I can ride, it's rideable. Because right now it's just like a mess, like soft yucky dirt all cracked and it's all washed down. So we'll give this a bit of a tidy up in a second. Okay team, the flat bottom in between the berm and the blue ramp is now all good to go. It's not as buttery as the berm, but it's looking real good. So you had to fly over the berm, then come down here, up the ramp, send a big stunt, it'll be smooth as. Now it is forecast to rain quite a bit more during spring, so a lot of water will wash down there, sort of fill in those gaps. It might need done again, but overall it's looking really, really good through here. So you might be thinking, why is this so zoomed in? I've actually jumped on my phone because my GoPro's just died, and unfortunately, I did go into the house to plug the GoPro in, but it just wasn't charging properly. I've only just realized now. And so I'm probably gonna have to kill a bit of time here to wait for the GoPro to charge up enough to use it. But what we're gonna do in a second here is I'm gonna head over to the long and low, which is just over here. And we'll get into smoothing that thing out. Like, it's actually in a rideable condition now, but what I want to do is smooth it out, butter it up, and get it ready to go again for spring and summer. And we'll work on the landing as well. So once the GoPro's done charging, we'll get into the time lapse over there. Right, we're back on the GoPro and we're over here at the long and low, the hip long and low, sorry. So this is the state of it right now. It's actually held up really good over winter. Like, this thing is still super duper hard, which is awesome, but the edges have fallen away a fair bit and it's pretty rough on top, and like, you can kind of see where the top of it is still, but it's definitely pretty rough. And so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to change it all. I'm just going to get a nice slapping of this clay over top of it and butter it up nice and smooth like that berm, so it's really smooth and good to go. And then we will move on to this landing, which can be quite a big job, but looking forward to it, because once this landing's done, it means you can go from the berm 1, 2, 3 jumps in a row again, which will be sick. So let's jump back in the time lapse, fixing this one up. Awesome guys, it's 3:45. We've now been here for 7 hours and our second feature today is done. So the hip long and low takeoff is all done. Like, this thing's looking really good again, really fresh. It's actually super satisfying to slap this thing up for the third time, for it to take way less time than it has before. Done the back, done the top. And that is actually one of the major benefits when you're making jumps. Like, the first time you place everything with like a digger or by hand, like, it takes forever to build it. But once you've got those hard features there and they've had like a whole winter on them, it's so much easier to slap stuff up and so much quicker, because you only have to do it once. This thing's turned out real awesome. So what we'll get into now, we'll get into that before and after of this. So, well stoked on the before and afters of this thing. So what I was gonna do, I originally started the video, I said I was going to do this landing here. What I think I might do, I might still rake it and get some of the weeds off it. I think I'm going to slap it up today because it's already 10 to 4 and getting quite tired. What I'm going to do instead though is, in one of the previous episodes, a couple episodes ago, we changed this long and low here, the straight long and low, to make it steeper and shorter. And I've actually still not tested it because, one, it was coming to winter and I broke my wrist, and so I'm really keen to test this. What I think I might do, because it was quite quick to slap up that other long and low, is we might slap up this lip here to finish, get this one all nice and buttery again, because over winter it's firmed up pretty good but still reasonably soft if you look at my thumb into there. So slap up would do this thing heaps of good. And then I'm thinking, in a few weeks time, with a bit of rain, sun, this will be hard enough to be able to test this thing out, see if it is possible to do tricks over here, and then we'll have 1-2 lines pretty much running. That does mean we won't get to the pump bumps and that step up jump over there today, but that's all good because springtime means heaps of digging time and we're only a few weeks away from daylight savings, meaning after work digging as well. So what we're going to do, we'll jump into another time lapse, start fixing out this lip here. Sweet guys, it is now 5:32, meaning we've been here for a full working day. And check this thing out. So stoked I decided to do this rather than the landing, because it just looks so cool having both these lips buttered up at the same time on the same day. Like, that is just sick. And once again, this one's got like a real nice edge. It's been packed in quite hard, and so you might be wondering why I packed it to start without the clay, because everything else I just put clay on straight away to pack it. I packed it without the clay to try and like compact it a bit more, and I think it's worked pretty well. Give you a quick once around the back. Nice square edge, nice and flat on top, all packed in on all sides and just looking prime and ready to go. Like, imagine like a photo of like a big stretched out like tuck no hander, like that's a big whip or a table or something off that. It's gonna be so good in summer. Man, stoked on that thing. So what we'll do now is we'll get into the before and afters of this jump. Sweet, so hopefully you enjoyed those before and afters in that jump. So what realistically needs to happen next at these jumps is this landing for long and low needs to be done, and it's actually like rock hard still, and you could honestly ride it right now and it would be pretty good. But there are a few weeds starting to show up on it. If I don't do something about these weeds in the next month, like it's going to become overgrown. And if you start coming down here, you'll notice that they're starting to get these ruts and stuff from the rain that's washed down over winter. And then when you get to here, like the ruts are pretty bad. And so I can ride over this on a mountain bike, but it's way better not to. So what's gonna have to happen in the next video is I think I'll have to like scrape all the weeds away, give this a nice rake, or like a scrape with a shovel, not too sure, fill it back in, smooth it all up out to the ramp. And then this line should be pretty much good to go besides the step up. And so as I mentioned with the step up, I'm thinking I'll probably make into a big box or spine by like scraping all the dirt forward and just making like the lip as tall as the landing. I'm not 100% sure on that, because in the long term what I want to do is get another wooden kicker, not as big as this one, but get a wooden kicker identical to my airbag landing one that I use for shows, put it in front of there and make that landing a bit bigger. So it'll be like wooden kicker ramp, pump, berm, wooden kicker ramp over here, then finish there with the resi. And so how the resi's progressing with this is I can get the mattresses from work, which is awesome. I've got 30-year-old mattresses I can get from camp. I'm collecting a few other old ones from different bits and pieces. I think I'll have enough mattresses to have like a mattress layer of like 2 mattresses, or maybe like 1.5 on this landing, which will just be awesome. And for the resi material, there's a place in town that can do it for me. I've just got to wait till level 2 to get that. And so, I didn't even say anything about that at the start of the video. We're out of lockdown now into level 3, which is awesome. And hopefully by what day will it be? By Tuesday we should be back in a level 2, which is pretty much life as normal, which should be awesome. They'll be able to work on the resi, get some riding in on here, and yeah, it'll be good. And I'm actually thinking for a video, because I can't get the digger for a while up there, but I might actually just bring my airbag landing ramp in and put it in front of that landing, just gap over the whole thing for video. So that could be quite cool. So let me know if you want me to do that. But yeah, so stoked what we got done today. What I'm thinking we might do is give you a quick recap of all the builds that we did today. Sweet team, really hope you've enjoyed today's video and really enjoyed that last look at the builds. I am so chuffed how these things have turned out and how much easier it is getting to dig them. Like last season it took so long, and now that all the features are there, it's just so much quicker, which means more riding and more riding content for you guys. That is going to the end of this week's video, guys, so I'd really appreciate if you guys give the video a like. It helps me out heaps, gets more people watching the videos. Leave some comments below if you can think of any. Share the video around with anyone you think might enjoy it, or if anyone who needs some digging tips or might be inspired by this, like share the video with them, because that also helps me and it helps them out. And subscribe if you're new, it's free to do, and you can always undo it at any time if you don't like the videos. Cheers for watching, team. We'll see you in the next one.